Now, they say economies decide elections, and Rishi Sunak has certainly chosen his time carefully with regard to that one. He has fulfilled 2 of his 5 pledges, halving inflation, more so, and growing the economy a little bit. Inflation is down from 11.1% in October 2022 to 2.3% this week, and after slipping into a bit of a shallow recession at the end of last year, the economy is slowly, very slowly, returning to growth. But with interest rates still at 5.25%. Has Sunak handed in the baton a tad too early? Well, joining us now is GB News economics and business editor Liam Halligan with On the Money. Liam, the timing of this election, does it make sense looking at the economic situation?
Not really, I must say. The inflation number you mentioned yesterday, that came out yesterday, Emily, 2.3% during the year to April, down from 3.2% during the year to March. It was obviously a good number for the government. It's a 2% inflation target, so it is definitely inflation returning to its sort of normal state of affairs after going well into double digits, as you said. But it wasn't as good as many people thought. There was an expectation inflation would go all the way down to 2%, maybe even lower, and that would have laid the way open for the Bank of England, when the Monetary Policy Committee meets on the 20th of June, to start cutting interest rates. And once interest rates start coming down from their current 16-year high of 5.25%, it really will change the way markets are thinking about the UK economy. More rate cuts will be priced in. Mortgage rates will come down very sharply in anticipation of rates going down 2 or 3 or 4 times in quick succession. But until you get that first rate cut, which now won't happen until August at the earliest, because it's not going to happen in June when inflation's 2.3% above target. There's no MPC meeting in July, by the way. August is the first interest rate cut. In theory, that's quite, not. You've only really got time for 1 interest rate cut then before an election in the autumn, possibly 2, when the Tories were hoping for 3. So Rishi Sunak seems to have thought, well, lots could go wrong over the summer. We could have an influx of small boat migrants, of course, in the better weather. There could be worse economic news. Inflation could even start ticking upward. That's certainly what money markets in the US think is going to happen over the summer. So if there is going to be no sort of great economic improvement with lots of rate cuts and possibility of a lower tax rate with an autumn budget, then the Tories are thinking we might as well just go now, because things probably aren't going to get better and they could get worse.
It's a pessimistic view, Liam. Where's the optimism?
Well, I've got some numbers just came out today, Tom, which we'll go to now, which I think are relatively optimistic, even though they're being reported in lots of places as if the economy's fallen off the cliff. What we had today weren't GDP numbers, they're not official numbers, they're numbers from what's called the Purchasing Managers Index survey. PMI surveys come out around the world, hugely authoritative, and what they do is they reflect surveys of business owners' opinions, so big business, small business and so on. And the PMI for the manufacturing sector came out today, and it was up from 49.1 to 51.3 in May. That suggests that when you talk to business leaders in detailed surveys, they think there's growth in the manufacturing sector. If it's above 50, the PMI index, that points to growth. That is the best PMI manufacturing figure for 22 months. And of course, it's in those red wall seats, manufacturing heartlands, where the Tories really do need to shore up their support. The reason these PMI numbers are being spun negatively, unfairly I think by some journalists, is that the service sector PMI fell from 55 to 52.9 in May, and that's a 6-month low for services. Now, services are, of course, 70 to 80% of the UK economy. They cover everything from legal staff, hospitality, restaurants, hotels and everything. But the services number is still above 50. It's well above 50. It's almost at 53, even though it's come down a bit. So the economy is growing. Manufacturing in particular has returned to growth. That's good news. Overall, the economy is still quite lacklustre, But I would say there is now a path of economic improvement, but Sunak seems to have judged that it's not enough of an improvement to risk waiting for an autumn election when things on other fronts could get worse.